he has had no real professional opponents other than Tommy Fury that were legitimate world-class boxers.
Yeah.
The problem is he was like a famous kid, and then no one took him seriously.
Yeah.
You just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw,
Me like sparring.
Yeah.
When I watched it, which, you know, look, I paid for it. They got me. I thought it was going to be a real fight.
But me, I'm gonna speak my mind, and I'm just gonna keep it 100, man. Jake Paul is fugazi. He's fake.
That's how you feel?
Truly feel. I'll bust him up and his trainer in the same night. 2 for 1.
Joe Rogan reacts in shock as Anthony Joshua reveals Jake Paul pushed for a scripted bout. Joshua says he agreed only to a real fight with real risk. Rogan notes how Paul's past wins face accusations of choreography and compliant opponents. Those victories, critics argue, padded records and rankings, boosting title talk without elite competition, leaving fans questioning legitimacy and intent behind the spectacle and fueling debate across sports circles.
Yep. You know, like you would assume that wealth would take away your drive for
but
competition.
It hasn't, yeah.
He's also nuts, right? Just
Yeah.
the fact that he's willing to fight the 2-time heavyweight champion, former Olympic gold medalist,
Yeah.
a guy who's gigantic in his prime, built like a Greek god.
Yeah.
And you're going to stay.
Joe Rogan says the fight looked more like a controlled sparring session than a dangerous war. He explains that while the bout had moments of tension, it never reached a level where serious damage seemed likely. Rogan adds that boxing can turn ugly very fast, so seeing both fighters walk away without major injuries is a positive outcome. Stresses that safety matters more than hype and is glad no one took heavy shots that could have lasting consequences.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
I've known him for a long time. I love that dude. Me too. Chaos Sonnen says the situation simply does not make sense when looked at logically. Explains that a fighter with only 11 professional bouts should not be standing across the ring from an experienced Olympic medalist. Sonnen's view, the gap in skill, experience, and ring IQ is far too wide to ignore. He also points out that the weight difference makes the matchup even harder to believe, as the more seasoned fighter was not only outside Jake Paul's usual competition level, but also naturally heavier. Sonnen argues that in real competitive boxing, commissions and trainers would never allow such a pairing under normal circumstances. The matchup raises serious questions about authenticity and intent. He suggests that when fights ignore basic sporting logic, fans are right to doubt whether everything unfolding in the ring is genuinely competitive or designed mainly for attention and promotion rather than true sport.
For Jake, or if I think that Joshua is more experienced or better, I believe I believe boxing's real. If boxing is an actual sport, if it is an actual sweet science, then of course a guy that's done it 11 times cannot compete with the Olympic champion. Of course. This is before you get size in there, before you get professional world titles in there. A guy that's done this 11 times cannot go into the Olympic Games and medal. If boxing, in fact, should be believed. I was with Portnoy. I liked it. I liked how he said that. So, that's how I feel too. Because I'm also cheering for Jake Paul. But I get it. I know we're not going to win tonight. But that's a compliment to boxing. And it is very hard for people to digest that Anthony Joshua can't cut him off. He can't find him. He can't do anything with that reach. He can't go out there and rush him. He can't throw this kid in a corner and beat him up. That is disappointing to me. That is baffling to me. As an MMA guy, I will just share with you, that would not be a problem at all. At all. If a guy's running away from me, it would be absolutely no problem. And you could put the boundaries at the city line. You could put it at the state line. I will track him down. I will put him somewhere and I will beat the dog out of him. So in a ring, I get where that is really disappointing. I get it, but it doesn't change the fact that that's what happened. And then Joshua, by the way, has the right to turn to some other thing. Where I'm saying he had to cut him off, grab him, throw him in the corner, go beat him up. Well, I'm saying that Joshua has the right to go, I could feel some stuff. I knew it was going to come my way, right? For Joshua to say, well, I had the experience, and yeah, he was moving, and yeah, I could have cut him off a little different. But I didn't mind the way this was going. I didn't mind that he was running. I knew he would slow down. I knew he would come to me eventually. Like, for that to be Joshua's mindset is...
Joe Rogan points out that Jake Paul has always wanted to prove himself as a real fighter, taking on opponents in the ring and showing he can handle genuine competition. He emphasizes that Jake thrives when he faces fighters and challenges that are real, not scripted or fixed. This time, stepping up against Anthony Joshua, the scale of the fight is on a completely different level. Rogan notes that because Jake has never faced someone of Joshua's size and power before, it's impossible to know his true stamina or how he would hold up in a full intense bout against an equally big and experienced opponent. Stresses that while Jake has proven skill and speed, the question of endurance and resilience against top-tier heavyweights remains unanswered, leaving fans curious but uncertain.
When we expect Jake Paul to be fighting like higher level competition, it's not because he has under 10 fights. It's because he talks a lot of shit.
Yeah, but that's also why we're talking about him.
And that's exactly true. But I think on both sides of the equation, we've got to like admit that a young fighter under 5 fights isn't fighting great competition. So
True.
if you're calling Jake Paul a legitimate boxer and then you're expecting him to do what legitimate boxers do, I'm not sure he's not doing that, and probably more.
That's what I'm saying about the knockout of Tyron Woodley, because it was just a regular boxer who's just coming up. And what does he have?